Hi, Makai. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Makai Murray. I graduated from SG in 2021. I'm a Tufts 2025 student. I'm planning on graduating this spring.
Okay. Would it be possible if I ask for the price range of your works?
Hmm. So I mean, the thing with my work is I like messing with the way that art is distributed. I understand the way that the art world works, and I kind of think that it's flawed. Early on in my career, I kind of was lucky enough to be blessed with a high commission, like for my first ever sold piece, and since then I've kind of been dealing with that tactically. Like I like playing with projects, so I'll make a project where I give pieces away for free, and in that same series I'll have pieces that I intend to sell for over like $20,000 so that those free pieces gain intrinsic value by being associated with those more expensive pieces. You know what I'm saying? The first sale I ever had was over $25,000 so that people that can afford cheap art are in possession of expensive art through there being expensive art associated with those pieces because they're in the same series. It's once the pieces are purchased that they gain a different level of value. And I think truthfully that the people who acquire the more expensive pieces, their pieces gains intrinsic value too because it's associated with a series that plays with the way that like finances work in the art world. The art world is really weird, so it's kind of like this equation that I like to put together makes it so that it's romanticized to the point that they'll both gain value by being associated in the same series.
But do you think by doing like this action, this innovation, do you think you can create any influence on the art world?
I don't know. And I don't know if that's my intention either. Like, I don't know if I aim to be like, I'm an artist that's going to impact the art world. Like, I don't care about the art world. I care about making art and being able to distribute it to people that are like myself and make art like tangible. Growing up, I didn't have any art influence until I got to St. George's. I didn't have any knowledge of art before I got there. So I think now it's very important for me to be able to like lay a good foundation for people like myself where that are from where I'm from to be able to understand art well. And I think a good way to do that is to make it so that people that are from where I'm from can buy art, which means that I got to get off of pieces for $10 sometimes.
Interesting. But don't you think that like when you sell a work for like $25,000 and then you sell another work for 10 and you're saying that the price both rise, aren't you still following the same rule as the art world?
Yeah, but it works against it. It is the same rule, but it works against it. And that's why it's good. Like it's works against the art world so well that it works with the art world.
So
So
it's
I still like,
But then even though the purpose is against it, the result is still the same, and you're still falling into like a monetary trap within the art that you're
yeah.
causing the price to rise. Is that like a dilemma that you're facing right now?
Nah, not really, because I'm well aware of it. Like if I intend to be an artist that sells art, no matter what, I'm gonna fall into that trap. It's
Yeah,
like inevitable. If I'm an artist that distributes art, you're gonna be in that trap. So I'd rather be in control of it than to be controlled by it.
interesting. Do you think at some point you will stop using this trend and actually like embrace the art world? Because I feel like some people might come in that this action is kind of like a little trick and it doesn't really have much impact on whether the work is necessarily more impactful or more influential or not. Do you think at some point you'll stop doing this?
I don't know. I mean, I can't really fill out the future. I think right now, the amount of work I make and the speed at which I distribute it enables me to do this well right now. I think no matter what my intention behind making art and my approach towards being an artist that can curate opportunities for younger students that are or younger people that are from the space that I'm from will be consistent, but my approach might be different.
Since you are doing this, I want to hear your opinion on the modern art world and how like do you think they're overpriced and do you think like their effort worth that much price?
People can do something very little and it can be something that means a lot. And some people work their whole life to be an artist and they're very like well practiced and they can make very beautiful paintings but never sell them. So I don't know. I think the art world is just something that's like very much so hit or miss, but I do think that there's ways that you can angle yourself like relative to the art world so that you can succeed in it.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, art is entertainment. So it's like music. You can make the best music ever and still not get the love that you're supposed to get from it. And it's the same way with art. So I don't think that there's necessarily like I don't think artistic ability is correlated to artistic financial merit.
Yeah. Makai, back to like the point that you said that you want to make art more affordable because you mentioned in an interview, I think with your college right now, with Tufts, that you
Hmm.
said that um you want to convey like a difference in life between your childhood home and then like the prestigious educational institutions such as SG and Tufts. Like, or how did you come up with that thought?
My first project that's actually at SG right now is called This Is Not Okay. And truthfully, when I was making that project, my intention was to sell it for a high number, and I wasn't thinking about the opportunity of distribution of art for cheaper prices. I think that was a thought that came later. Um, but I do know that early on in my work, I was mindful of the fact that the art world was flawed. Just through like the minimal research that I did, I saw that there was patterns in the art world that were inconsistent. There's no like real recipe to you being an artist that can be like the best artist or the biggest artist.
Cool. Um, on the next question, what is the symbolism behind the power speakers and the metal frames?
Um, well, they're different. So the speakers, when I put those speakers in there, my initial thought was to combat like this idea again of how the art world works. So I'm very aware of the fact that many of the students that go to SG, their parents will be on campus and likely will see my show. But I also understand that when people come to see the show, they're looking for some like form of validity. So people will see the show and then they'll start asking questions. Who is this kid? What has he done? Who does he sell to? What is this price point? And if I go in there and I have pieces that are like I have price tags for the pieces and it's $30,000, the first thing they're gonna say is when is he sold a $30,000 piece? So I liked playing with this idea of noise. Like people are gonna go into the exhibition and they want noise before they think that my work is good. So I put the speakers in there. They can have all the noise they want and then they can understand that my work is good.
But there's actually no noise, but since
Exactly.
speakers are playing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no point, essentially.
And there's no point of the noise. The noise is unnecessary. It's again just something that's just like part of this weird game that I'm supposed to assimilate to. So I do. I give you the noise, but you don't get the noise. You know what I'm saying? This exhibition was the first time I kind of worked on the frames in this way where I kind of use the frames as a piece of art. Like in the frames that I have there, especially the two square ones, the 4 by 4 feet ones, I really wanted to make sure that the frames could exist as a piece of art themselves, and then they could also hold a piece of art within them.
Interesting. I find it really interesting that you use like such a hard substance like steel or whatever the metal is, and then you put such a like a fragile texture into it, like paper or like, and then
Yeah,
the
I
thing is
appreciate you
that
saying that, man.
It's really
yeah,
cool.
the thing is that I find it really interesting is that in your artwork, because the rather soft elements that you put into the frames oftentimes include narrative, like stories, and there's like images on it. So it's not completely abstract. I find that really interesting. Can you explain like if I say that your work, or you are going to say that um my work has a certain narrative in it, what is it and how would you interpret it? Like the narrative part within it.
Mm, I don't know. I don't think it's consistent. I think that like per piece, per project, it's very different. Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that it's not so much abstract though, because I feel like a lot of times people see my work and the first thing they say is that it's abstract, and the next thing is that they say is that it's collage. And I don't refer to my work as abstract or collage. So I like
How
that.
would
And another thing,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't aim to like because when I make these pieces, man, it really just like comes out of me. I don't go into it like, all right, I'm gonna make uh this kind of work. Like I really just start working on stuff and then it kind of grows as it is. I understand that there are a lot of like collage-like elements to my work and a lot of abstract elements to my work, but my intention is never to make abstract works or collage works, you know?
Yeah. Oftentimes you just make the assumption and then believe in the assumption for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
I really like what you said though about the like the relationship between the materials. And I think too when I first started making those frames, like the one that's in this is not okay, that's there right now. I
Mhm.
use glass that was fragile too. So it's like you have a metal frame, you have soft paper, and then it's protected by something that's can be easily broken too.
So yeah, the materials they has a look like an interesting contrast between each other.
Hmm.
I have another question because we saw you like curating the exhibition like 2 weeks ago. We walked by and then
Hmm.
saw like the paintings of you. And then actually this might be kind of disrespectful, but when I thought about it, I was like, this is quite a shitty painting. It's like it's not that good. But then
Yeah.
during the exhibition, I figured out like you pile them together into an interesting format. And like, why would you do that? And like, what do you think? How does that like
contribute to the
yeah,
exhibition as a
contribute to
whole.
the exhibition and also the effect of the paintings? Or do you view them as
Yeah.
at all?
What was the last thing you said?
Like, do you view those painting-ish paintings as paintings at all? Or like do you view them as a constellation or something like that?
Yeah, that's a really, that's the first time I've ever worked on canvases that way. Like I'm oftentimes very intimidated by canvases. I've had those canvases in the back of my studio for like the last 3 years, and one night something just like jumped out of me and I started working on them. And those are works that are like, without a doubt, those are abstract paintings. And I don't know. That's something that I really had a challenge with for a long time because I'm not an art student and my practice is really just me doing it. So I hate doing things that make it seem as though like I'm doing something that's easy, like I'm not an artist. But the reason why I stacked the paintings like that is because I knew that on the opening night, people would want to see them. And I liked the ability of me being able to like pick up the paintings and move them for people and like show them like this is a painting and it's something that's valuable, but this shit is just a painting. Sorry, excuse my language, but this is just a painting.
Yeah.
And it's not really like that. It's not intangible. You can pick this up right now and you can move it, and you have to move it to be able to see all three of these. And that's something that I like playing with the informality of exhibitions too. Like I like doing stuff that makes it seem like these fine pieces of art should all be on the wall, but no, they're going to be on the floor, and I'm going to move them around so people can see them and understand that this process is not really something that's intangible.
Interesting. You're kind of messing with the idea. I mean, like in my opinion, you're making art, like especially paintings, no longer two-dimensional. Like you're making it completely three-dimensional. And it's
Mm,
I know some artists that feel like they claim that my paintings are three-dimensional. Like I'm messing around with the two-dimensionality
Right,
of
probably.
it. And then you are like messing with the whole space. So I find that really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a new concept. And when did you start doing art? And when did you start messing around with the concept of like informal? When did you start doing that?
well, um, I don't know when I started doing art. When I was at SG, I took art classes, and before that, I was working on like little sculptural forms and stuff like that. And kind of throughout my whole life, I've had a feel for creativity. But when I graduated from SG, I worked on that project that's on the wall now. That's called This Is Not Okay. And that was the first time I went into a project with the intention of like, I looked at myself and I was like, I'm an artist. I'm going to make a piece of work as an artist. So that was like like even now to this day, I refer to that being my first piece of work as an artist.
So being an artist yourself, do you think one can become a true artist just by the education received from school? Like for you, learning stuff from SG and Tufts, does that shape you into an artist, or did you become artist in a different way?
I think one can become an artist by having a conversation with themselves and being like, "Oh, I'm an artist now." Because I really feel like, as much as it's very important for you to be well knowledge and well versed in the understanding of art and the practical application of artistic practices, that's not what makes you an artist. Like you can that I don't really know what makes you an artist outside of that relationship with yourself and being like, "I'm an artist."
But then it seems like you're currently evading from the concept that you are an artist. Like you don't want to get too close with the concept artist, it seems to me.
Nah, I live in the fact that I'm an artist. That's my identity. That's the like biggest part of my identity. I am an artist, but my understanding of myself as an artist isn't grounded in somebody telling me I'm an artist now. Like I didn't finish a class and I was like, yes, I'm finally an artist. Like I was an artist when I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I'm an artist.
Ooh,
Hmm.
that's a nice quote. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question that might be a bit uncomfortable, so you can choose to answer or not.
All right, go ahead.
Does your race and culture influence your art creating process?
Oh, it's not that. Oh,
Yeah, completely. A lot of, I mean, most of my, naturally, yes, because a lot of my work it stems from a personal investigation, and I am who I am. So yeah, it's consistent, and honestly, that's a important part of my art, as most of my art is created with the intention to impact people that are from the same place that I'm from, and most of those people look like me.
Are there any artists that specifically inspired you?
Yeah, there's a kid named Simon Lee. He graduated from SG the year before me, and he's in large part the reason why I'm an artist now. And
Really?
not because, yeah, he's insane. But the thing with Simon is Simon's somebody who was well versed in art his whole life. He's been exposed to the best art in the world throughout his whole life. And his practice got to the point where he was doing stuff that I looked at and I was like, what the hell are you doing? In his senior year at SG, he was like peeing in test tubes and like calling that art and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what
I
kind of
heard.
made me realize
It's really
like, yeah,
cool.
I could be an artist. Like he's peeing on stuff and he thinks he's an artist. Like, yeah, I could be an artist.
I guess I'm not trying hard enough.
Simon Lee is a good artist. Mr. Hansel talked very highly of it.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, anyone can be a good artist. That's my experience.
exactly.
Yeah, being bold and having this conceptual idea, you
Yeah.
can be an
Yeah.
artist.
Okay, do you have any galleries representing you right now?
Mm. Um, I'm working with no, but I am working with some art like distributors and stuff like that. I don't really care much for galleries if I'm being honest with you. But I partially say that because I'm not represented by a gallery. If I was represented by a gallery right now, I would not say
You're
that.
like, yes, yes, my gallery is great. Yeah, I might.
Nah, but no, I'm not working with any galleries right now. But also I haven't really like I haven't been seeking that out. It's not something that's really important to me. What's important to me is being able to sell my work. And if I can do that on my own, which I have been able to do, then I'll do that consistently. But as I move towards a point where I'm looking to make like some real money in the next year,
Mhm.
um, that's something that I just have to be a little bit more open to because I understand the way the art world works.
Yeah. How do you deal with like the space within this exhibition? Because I feel like you want to mess around with that a lot. How do you deal with space during art?
In general or specific to this exhibition?
Um, let's make it specific to the exhibition.
Yeah. Well, with this one, I was very mindful of the fact that like I was trying to pay good and close attention to the people that would be in there. So at first, like my intention with setting it up initially with the speakers being circular and then having like limited pieces in there was keeping the student body in mind. I wanted to create an exhibition that enabled students to like see it gradually growing. So like even you guys saw it when it was first set up and then you see me setting it up. It kind of forces you to become immersed in the experience of there being an exhibition there because I know when I was a student at SG, like there were exhibitions there, and I only remember one of them. So I kind of wanted to be able to create a show that could have some like it could resonate with people better, but also being mindful of the fact that like after the opening night, I wanted to sell this work, and how do I want to set this work up so that people can come in here and kind of get a feel for what my stuff's about and how I like to display my work while also being able to take me seriously.
Definitely, this your work is the most memorable piece.
By far,
Yeah,
with
by
all the
far I've
Hunter
seen.
Gallery exhibitions.
Because the stuff last year
And
they were not that good.
Most of them are really.
guys, what are you guys' favorite pieces in the show right now?
I like the one that has like a square-ish metal frame
Yeah, me too.
with the glass. Not the one that goes through both walls, but the one that only has hangs on one wall. I love that one. Yeah.
My favorite
Mm.
part was the fullness of the exhibition, especially when there's like a bunch of people and people talking and different sounds. It really adds a lot to the exhibition. It's cool.
Yeah, and that's so important, bro. Especially like, and that's another thing too that plays a role in how I kind of set up the space. I'm very mindful of like the people that will be there, the conversations that will be held, and then how those conversations and people will exist in the space.
Yes, the interaction was very crucial in your thing.
Yeah, it's like focusing on communication between the artist and the audience, and it seems like you are
Exactly.
using your artwork to do that. I have another question because I noticed you make a lot of scratches on the metal frames. And what's that? Because I also find that interesting. And that's why I love that work so much
Yeah,
because it has so many things in it and it combines to make it very forceful
the chaos.
together. Yeah, it's like chaos and then peace and then insight. And then the glass seems to be dividing some like the two into like two pieces. So I like that work a
You,
lot.
you guys are saying a lot of good stuff right now. You guys are saying exactly what I want to hear. Something that I really like in my work is like this contrast between like serenity and chaos. And that's something I actually write in a lot of my works, like serenity and chaos or peace and chaos. Like I like that contradiction. I like that feeling like it's too much, but then you look at it and it's like, oh, this is kind of like inviting and this is nice. Working with those scratches and stuff on the work is something that I did. You know the piece that's all the way on the right side of the exhibition that has like the metal pieces coming out of it now?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. What was
When
that?
I made that frame the summer after I graduated from SG, and I realized when I was working on that, I was like welding, and then I was trying to get the welding bubbles off of it, and I was like, oh, I like these scratch marks. So I kind of, um, I've grown with that. But working on these frames this time around, I kind of wanted to mix the steel that was rusted before with stainless steel that doesn't have the opportunity to be rusted, and then playing with the way that like light can be received on these pieces. So as you walk around the pieces now, like you catch different glimpses of like parts that will catch the light and reflect off well. And I just like stylistically, I just like the way it looks. And then also I think it's a good tool to like be evocative and it evokes a lot of emotion. And it kind of like you guys said is like loud. You can feel the piece a lot when it has that many scratches and it's that vibrant and it has the opportunity to be reflective like that.
You have done a lot of innovation in your work. I really like it. So,
Thank you.
since you're like the new generation for art, how would you view people who are more classical, like, for example, Mr. Hansel's pieces of works, which is relatively more, um,
Well, Mr. Hanso is like more subtle, but
yeah,
overall his
subtle.
like method is overall like rather classical. Not classical, but like I feel like
He's not as
many
innovative as you are.
he's
So
inheriting many modern masters like style and technique. Like what do you think of that?
I love Hansel's work, and I truthfully I like a lot of people's work. Like I don't, I'm not one to judge people's work often because I don't know where it stems from. I don't know what vehicles force people to work the way that they do, but I do think that when I get the opportunity to see how artists work through their processes, um, it's so precious. Like even me this summer being able to work with Hansel and seeing how he thinks about his works, how he talks about his works, how he aims to have his works be received by people, how he goes about distributing them, how he prices his pieces, how he like does everything. It really brings his like work to life. Hearing him talk about his pieces and stuff, it gives me a different understanding and it makes me value the work a lot more highly. Like now I think I'm at the point with Hansel's work that even when I see it, I can't see it the same way that somebody who doesn't know Hansel would see his work just because I'm so embedded in his process and I like really like for me as an artist being able to see artists process and their thought patterns towards their work is a lot more important than the work itself.
Interesting. But then some people, especially I feel like many buyers, they tend to receive art as a result. And then like they believe that's correct. How do you think of that?
For art in general or for my work.
I mean, like art in
in
general,
general.
because you just said that, for example, you emphasize on process a lot and you love to see process. Many people receive art, especially visual ones, as like a final outcome, like a result. And how do you view that? And would you like to like, are you trying to contradict it or are you trying to do something else with it? Is that
No, I think like especially with having this show and just hearing how people talk about my work and how they think about it and that kind of stuff like I don't know it's nice to see how different people relate to art and how they take art in and how they like what role art plays in their lives. Because no matter what art is, it's a necessity in life. You can't live this life experience and not have art be something that's important to you. It's almost impossible. So I think that the ways that different people interpret art or their relationships with art is like to each their own. I think that there are some like people who do care about process a lot or are very mindful of the process when thinking about a work or thinking about what it takes to complete a work. I appreciate that opinion a lot more, but I appreciate all opinions.
hmm. You're also being very respectful here.
Yeah, it's true.
No, but that's the truth, man, because at the end of the day, like even like what I was saying earlier, like a lot of my work is created with the intention to appeal to people that are like myself. And truth be told, a lot of these people have no relationship with art. A lot of the people that came to the show the other day that were my friends from home, that's their first time being in an exhibition. That's their first time being around like a cohesive body of work. So I can't be like, you should be thinking about my process when you're being here. Like I just want people to be able to enjoy the work and find something positive from it.
Hmm, very
They
interesting.
were all very happy. I can.
Yeah, yeah. The night I was like, we were like,
We were
maybe we
waiting for a
shouldn't
long time
disturb
for
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys were talking for like so long, but then like you guys are like nonstop. So we're like, we'll just do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
My bad, guys. I wish I knew you guys were trying to catch me during the show. I would have talked to you guys.
Yeah, but it's fine. You
Yeah.
had a lot of fun, it seems
Yeah.
like.
What would be your prediction for the art trend in the next decade?
Mm, that's a great question. I don't even know. I don't know what the art trend is right now. I think that, well, one thing I realize is that, especially with people that are around my age, social media plays a big role in the kind of art that people create, the way that they go about distributing art, and the way they want to be seen as artists. And I think as time progresses, we're going to see that a lot more, and it's just going to be something where art kind of exists online more than it does in real life. I think even now it's like that. Like even when I make my pieces now, especially when I'm making them with the intention to sell them, I have to be mindful of how my pieces look through a phone or through a lens, just because that's how like that is almost more important than the actual piece itself these days, it seems.
Talking about social media, what do you think of this artificial intelligence nowadays that can create artwork that's like close to human like?
Yeah. I don't know. I think artificial intelligence is beautiful, but I think that AI could never make those frames. You know what I mean? I think that
That's true.
yeah, but at the same time too, I see great value in AI, and I think as we progress as a people and as like the world progresses and we lean more towards a world that well implements artificial intelligence, there's going to be a greater value that's associated with artificial intelligence. And I think too that like the opportunity for things like non-fungible tokens and stuff like that, like NFTs and stuff like that space is precious, and that's something that's going to grow across time. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not like I can't predict the trends, and I think artificial intelligence is going to be more prominent, but it's not. It can't make those frames.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
I have another question. Like some senior art critics, they feel like they oftentimes say that like people like us born in like 1990s or like after 2000s, we often like post too many like individual ideas to our artwork. For example, they will criticize that like, oh, he wants to move his painting around in the exhibition, but then it's only kind of like a random popping up idea, and there's not that much logic in it. And like they find that too simple or whatever. How do you say about that? Like, do you actually feel that? Because I feel like our generation generally, like we're just more flexible than the older artists. But then like how would you say to these criticism?
I think the criticism of simplicity is intentional. Like I want to be simple, especially like with something like painting abstract paintings that seem like somebody can paint them themselves and then leaving them on the floor so I can move them around so people can get this different experience. Like, yeah, that's the intention. I want to be simple. I want people to be able to interact with this work well enough to be like, damn, these paintings seem like I can do them and they're on the floor and I can move them. I could do that too. But at the same time, too, like I think that there's technical aspects in art that are important too. Like I think that there is a time in art that like welding those frames is important. Being able to be somebody that can weld frames and put together these works that are kind of complicated is just as important as having the simple pieces.
Hmm, very interesting. Right. Alex, do you have any other questions?
Okay, then that would be our last question. Thank you.